So I'm going to use this as my sort of soft scraper. Can't use a metal scraper because that'll scratch the glass of the mirror. So using my new super enhanced Vagabond, we're going to find the exact center point by drawing an X between the corners. And now we draw that circle. So that's roughly where we're going to remove the paper backing. So I've cut out this crude mask circle in the center, and that's going to be our protective barrier because we're going to use some caustic chemicals on this, and we don't want to use them on the full surface. Using the diamond file on my Leatherman Charge, I've already pre-smoothed the top and bottom edges and also the top, bottom, and side corners. So I'm using this reflective tape I bought at a hardware store. It says Trim Bright. It has no pattern. It's just a smooth reflective red surface. Some have hexagons on them. I think it's better to be smooth, but I think you can use whatever reflective tape you can find. I'm using red. You could also use green. Whatever color you use indicates what color your holographic virtual image fireball will be. So out of the red square, hoping I can get in deep enough, it has a backing that keeps me from ideally placing it wherever I want. And we place a hole as centrally as possible. So there's our sighting hole. So it looks like this method just barely will get that hole right in the center. If I had used a quarter instead of a nickel, I'm not sure if I would have been able to center that hole based on the backstop on the hole punch. So I've polished down the sides, put the circle in the center. I'm now going to try and scrape away the paper and paint in that center circle area. I'm going to take the pin from my modified Vagabond. Now I'm going to attempt to scrape the paper and paint in the center area. Applying 91% rubbing alcohol. I'll let that sit. So that's been soaking for a few minutes. Now we attempt to scrape out the paper. So as you can see, I'm getting through to the silver. This tape didn't hold up very well. So I'm now going to rinse this. So that is a first surface mirror. I don't think I scratched any of the silver. Now we are going to get rid of the silver, but I wanted to show how you can get to a first surface mirror. It's by removing the backing of a normal mirror. So now images on my camera perfectly. So that's as high quality mirror as you'll ever have. First surface mirror, no glass. This is liquid bleach. Some people also recommend using toilet bowl cleaner gel, but I don't have any, and I think liquid bleach is something most people have around the house. So we just want to coat the glass circle, and then we're going to let it sit. So it's been sitting with the bleach on top for 10 minutes. I'm going to see if I can scrape off some of the silver. I'm applying more bleach. So I've had more bleach sitting on it for about half an hour. I'm also going to use a brass brush. So I've rinsed it off. It's fairly clear in the center. It's exactly what you want. I'd say it's almost done. There's still a slight hazing of silver I'm going to keep working on. Pencil. So it seems to be pretty much optical quality. Got a clear hole in the center, and that's where we're going to put our sighting hole on the back. We're going to tape it down. Unfortunately, this hole punch doesn't let me put it right in the middle. This is going to be just barely in the center, yet covering this whole hole. In fact, I may have to put some masking on it. So over this missing area, unfortunately, that little sliver that didn't get the red retro-reflective sticker, I'm putting black tape. So, there it is. So this is going to be my target. It's supposed to look like a steamship with two smokestacks on top. It's made of retro-reflective tape itself, so when I shine the reflected sunlight on it, I'll know I'm hitting the target because it'll flash back at me. Unfortunately, it's raining today, so I can't go out and play in the sun, but instead I'm going to use this as my artificial sun to test the signaling capability of the signaling mirror I just made. My artificial sun is to the front right. Now let's apply the mirror. So you hold the eyepiece up to the camera, find the red fireball, there it is, and then that fireball is where the light's going. So when I hit my target, it flashes back. So one solution to the problem that the hole punch device can't push in far enough, so you can't put the hole exactly where you want it, is to make your reflector out of two halves that you put together. In fact, I made one a few years back out of two-tone, just like this, red on one side, white on the other. And that makes your fireball two-color depending on if it's in this hemisphere or in this hemisphere. I'll show you the video I made back in 2014 using that two-tone reflector. Below it's a red fireball. Above it's a white fireball. So what I've made here is sort of the original version that the U.S. military introduced right at the conclusion of World War II in 1945. There was a more sophisticated version released in the 1950s that used a grid work of little thin strips, sort of like strings of this material, but it's difficult to cut it yourself. I made one once and it did sort of work, but the advantage of having the larger viewing area thanks to the grid work, like looking through a screen door or a tennis racket, is hard to justify for the complexity of how hard it is to make it. Even though it worked out fine, I think I am going to convert it to a two-tone model so that you have the white on one side, red on the other. Trim off the excess tape. So here it is, two-tone. Red on one side, white on the other. Red's the normal mode. White is the brighter mode. The white's actually too bright in sunlight usually, but when you want added light, for instance, if you're trying to signal using a dimmer light like moonlight, you want the added brightness. What you do is you load flashlight into your phone app, aim your fireball so that the light is aiming at specifically the target you want to communicate with. Hit the button Morse on the phone. That brings you to a Morse code screen. You can type in whatever you want. For instance, I'm going to transmit aim your fireball, then let the apps do the work. So you aim it and transmit. So you're now flashing just that one direction. Now this doesn't really work when the mirror is just an inch away. You would have to have it at least a few feet away, and that makes it more like a spotlight rather than a broad floodlight. But here's a secret way you can communicate at night.